Testing. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today as we observe the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. The land we are standing on today is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaties, signed with the multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. We'd like to welcome our first speaker, Ms. Dawn Hill. Ms. Hill is a former residential school student, a retired teacher, and is currently the Secretary and Treasurer of the Mohawk Village Memorial Park, as well as a board member of the Survivor Secretariat.
Good morning, everyone. I think to really understand the impacts of residential school, you have to know what life was like before entering that school. I was born on the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory to a Mohawk father and a non-Native mother back in 1949. And so I'm an older person now. And so when you see me as an older person, you really have to think back to when I went into the residential school. I was 7. And most people know somebody who's 7 or younger. I had 3 or 4 younger sisters and brothers who also went in, and 2 older siblings. That was in 1957. And I think I'll start out with what life was like on the reserve, living with my own mom and dad before we were put in the residential school. So we didn't have running water, we didn't have electricity, but we did come from a very loving family. Our mother and father always hugged us and, were really kind. We never got the strap. We were kind of poor, I guess, by today's standards. We only had 3 beds in the house. And so a lot of us slept together, the little ones. I mean, it's comfort and sharing in a family where that's just what it was. We had lots to eat. Our mother always made sure we had good food, lots of care and concern for us. And so it was quite a rude awakening as a little girl to find myself in a situation where there was violence and in an unloving environment. Like nobody ever hugged you there or said you did anything well. You were separated from the rest of your family, especially the brothers who were on the other side of the institution. And even within my sisters, we were all assigned to somebody else so that we were kept apart. So it was probably the whole idea that you couldn't be close with anyone. You forgot all about that stuff. But I think one of the first things that I will share as a child, the first night my sister and I went in, she's a year younger than me, so I was 7, she was 6, and we were placed in the dormitory. There was about another maybe 60 other girls. There was bunk beds in there. That's all there was, bunk beds. And so the officer told us to me to sleep in one bed, my sister to sleep a little ways away from me in a different bed on the lower bunks. Anyway, and then she left. And so my younger sister, again, like I said, we slept together when we were at home. So she got scared and said, "Can I come and sleep with you?" And of course, I would not say no. Nobody said we shouldn't do that. And so she came in and crawled in bed with me, and we were kind of looking around and a little bit whispering maybe about where we were and how kind of scary it looked because it was all dark, all the lights were out. There was only a little bit of light coming from the entry door into the dorm. And so a little while later, the officer comes back and she starts yelling at 3 little girls on the opposite side of the room, telling them they had to come down because they were talking. And those 3 little girls started crying. And my sister and I kind of wondered why they were crying. They were only talking or whispering. And then she looks in our direction and she says, "What are you 2 doing in that bed? Get out here." And so we knew that whatever was going to happen was not good. Those other ones were crying, and now we're going to be lining up with them. And sure enough, that was the first time we'd ever been strapped in our lives. We got, she had a great big leather belt, great, like I called it an industrial belt, like from a wheel or something like that. And it was really thick and hard. And she strapped us 3 times on each hand and told us we were not to sleep together. And so we ended up with big welts on our arms, and it was on your arms and your hands, right from the crook of your arm to your fingertips. And basically, that was our introduction to life at the residential school. Definitely not a caring place. And I think that's the way we learned most of the rules there after the fact, when you got punished for something that you shouldn't have done, but you didn't know ahead of time. And so, like, we were assigned numbers. I still know my number. My number was 54. My younger sister was number 34. And those numbers stay with you because nobody ever called you by your name after that. Like, I shouldn't say nobody. All of the officers didn't call you by your name. They called you by your number. And so it's kind of like a prison system. You lined up for everything. They called you by a number. Your number was in your clothes, right down to your socks, your shoes, your hat, your underwear, everything that had your number in it. Um, and so that first, kind of like within the first few days of being there, it was kind of like, I think, an initiation, because I was pushed into a crowd and all the kids stood around, and you wonder, where was the officer then looking after the welfare of the children? Obviously, they weren't there. So I got pushed into this circle with all the kids around, and another little girl was pushed in the circle with me, and we were told we had to fight. We never fought at home. I was never used to that kind of behavior. But if we didn't fight, which neither one of us wanted to do, they pushed us into each other until we did fight. So then we knew we had to hit if we were going to get out of that circle. And that happened to me twice in my time there. And I know a lot of other girls who said the same thing. It was kind of like a bullying system. And so I had made some other friends there, and so we kind of watched each other's back so that we didn't get into those situations if we could help it. And so, but that was always a constant fear in the playroom. Going outside wasn't so bad. The kids could roam around in not such close quarters and stay out of the way of those bullies. But also, like, it wasn't just the kids, even the teachers who were there to instruct us were kind of mean. And I don't know why. I don't know why they figured they had to be so mean. They probably would have got much more out of us had they been nice. And I know that I was doing my cursive writing one day, and the teacher came along and whacked me across the fingers, saying I wasn't holding my pencil right. And of course, by that time, I couldn't hold the pencil at all. So those are the things you learn to live with. You learn that you're not really safe. You're not safe anywhere, and there's always that uh, apprehension, always that tension, in whether it was in the playroom, whether it was in the dorm, whether it was, not so much outside, but it was always there. And so we lined up for everything. Like, we lined up to go to the dining room. We lined up to go to bed. We lined up to come back downstairs. We lined up to go to school. Um, Everything was so regimented. We weren't allowed to have an opinion. You were told to be quiet. You just had to listen and follow instructions. And that, after a number of years, that does have an effect on you. You kind of learn to be quiet. You learn not to have a voice. And that really did affect my older life, or even in my teen years. I could have got myself into some really bad situations by not having a voice. Uh,
sorry about that. Ms. Hill is having some problems with her internet right now. We will maybe wait a moment and hope that she reconnects soon, and then we'll continue with her recollection.
Don't forget to introduce yourself. You did not introduce yourself. She's back.
Hello, Ms. Hill, are you there?
I am now. My internet, for whatever reason, is going out today. When I first came home this morning, it was out, and then I tried to rehook it up. So I'm sorry that that's happening. Hopefully it won't happen again, but it's nothing that I can control at this point. So I'll just continue. So, and hopefully it doesn't happen too often, but if it does, I'll just try to get back in again. The food, I never really worried much about what the food was like. It was called the Mush Hole, actually, the Mohawk Institute. And it was called that back in the 1800s even. And that was because frequently the students were fed porridge, which we called mush, 2 or 3 times a day. If they didn't have food for them, they fed them porridge. And so it became known as the Mush Hole. It was that name that when I went there back in 1957. And on my own research, I found out it was called that back in the 1800s. Anyway, so moving on from there, I think one of the happier things, like not everything was really bad all the time. It was really nice to play outdoors. We had much more freedom, but in an enclosed area. We weren't allowed to leave. That was a time that was really good because we played games like we had swings and teeter-totters. We had skipping ropes, we had balls to play with, that type of stuff. But that was kind of limited to the things that we had access to. But you made the most of what you had. And kids are very resilient. We ended up learning to play our own games and stuff like that, creating our own games to keep ourselves amused during those times. So the other thing that was really nice is those kids who didn't go home, which was me and my sister, and about 25 other girls and about 25 other boys, never went home. Some never ever went home at all. We were sent up to Christian Island on Georgian Bay, which was just beautiful, but there was another reserve there, so they would ship us there for the summer. And so we got to swim every day. We got to do arts and crafts. I don't remember getting the strap there. And we did hiking across the island and stuff because it was an island. There was no fear of us running away. And that was just a more pleasant time. Most of the time you didn't, there wasn't a lot of stimulus for kids to be achievers or anything like that. You were just kind of like kept down. And I know one of the other happier times was there was a place in the Hotel Kirby in Brantford that would put on a big dinner for all of the kids from the residential school at Christmas time. And they gave us a little bag of candy, something we never got, and an orange, something again we never got, and gave us a little present. And this is how the environment was a little harsh. So when you had that, I got a little doll one Christmas, and I wanted to keep that doll really nice. And so when I brought it back to the residential school, the next day, a little girl comes and she grabs it away from me and she says, "That's mine." And I said, "No, that's mine. I got it yesterday." She says, "Not anymore." And she went to raise her fist and punch me. And so I had to give it up. Other than that, I'd be getting beat up, and she would take it anyway. So that's the kind of environment that you live in. And I think that really played a part on how we fit into society after residential school. We finally went into like a foster care system after that in 1961. So after we were there from 57 to 61, I think that's when they started the 60 scoop stuff, trying to farm out all the kids to foster care, that type of stuff. And so my one sister and I, who we never ever went home, My younger three went back to the reserve. They were fostered by a family there, and my older brother, the same thing, who went missing one day. And because I used to wave to him in the dining room, and that's the only time I saw him. And one day he was just gone. I didn't find out where he went until I was like 13 or 14, maybe 14. And my grandpa Bill had sent us tickets to come home from the foster home we were in north of Toronto, and to come home and meet the rest of our family again. And that was quite a reunion because we kind of forgotten what each other looked like. And so there I found out where my brother was after all those years. And I thought, why would they not have told us what happened to him? Did they not think that we would worry about what happened to our brother and why he was missing? But obviously they didn't care, or didn't know much about children that they were supposedly raising. And so we met up with our family again, but we still had to go back to the foster home because we were in childcare until we were 18. And then we were basically said, you're going to be on your own. You better find a job. Otherwise you'll have no roof over your head because you're not staying here. And so that was kind of drilled into you as you're growing up, especially through your teenage years. You're kind of worried about, what am I going to do after this? I really don't have a family. I don't have a place to stay. I'm capable of getting a job, which I did. I got one right after grade 12. And so I figured that's what I had to do. I did not know, as a Native person, that I had treaty rights. And you talk about treaty rights, and a lot of people say, oh, those Indians, they get everything handed to them, they're just always getting handouts. Well, no, part of the treaty rights was that they would pay for our education. They would pay for our medical. I know we've gotten a much bigger population now, so it's kind of maybe a burden, but I didn't know that I could go on in education because I really loved school. I didn't want to quit when I had to quit. And I would have gone on then, but I didn't know until I was like 35 that I could actually go on in school. And I went to, as a mature student, to Lakehead University in Thunder Bay. And that's where I became a teacher. But we'll go back a little bit in time. That when we first went to not the residential school, but the foster home, things were really good as a kid. I mean, it was really a nice environment. We got to play outside, hike through the woods like we did when we were kids. It was a really nice place. We had chores. We all had chores. But we learned how, like my job was to slop out all the pigs on Saturday morning and drive the tractor and put up the hay into the barn over the summer, but it was hard work. But I think that you develop a good work ethic, having chores and having a responsibility. I didn't like it at the time probably, but hey, that's what it was. And we learned to deal with it as kids, teenagers and stuff. And so life went on. However, as I got a little older and became like a teenager of 14 or in that area, we had a couple of people in the home, men in the home, their older son and the foster father were getting a little too aggressive with us as far as like sexuality. And so again, being brainwashed, they told us we were never used to use the phone when we were alone. And I would never have done that because it'd been drilled into me to mind the rules because there's always a consequence. Don't do anything that you shouldn't do. But we had another girl who came into the foster home from a different reserve, but I knew her from the residential school. So she was now living with us. And the same thing was happening to her because she was only a couple of weeks younger than me. And so we talked about it, and one day everybody was gone, and she said, we have to phone the children's aid. And I said, oh, but we can't. We're not supposed to use the phone. And she said, watch me. And back in those days, you had the old crank phone, so you had to get the operator by ringing that phone. But we did get out of there before anything happened to us. But thank goodness, because the other girl who came in, and can anybody hear me? I guess I'm back.
Yep, you're back.
Anyway, so we moved on to a number of foster homes after that. I was 35 when I figured out that I had some treaty rights and went off to school, became a teacher. And I taught for 28 years, one of the most rewarding things I ever did in my life. I really enjoyed teaching grade 8. That was where I taught most of the time. I taught in Northern Ontario for a long time. And then I finally came home to Six Nations in 2000 and taught there until I retired. And I really found coming back to the reserve originally when I was in my 20s that I didn't fit in. I didn't know the protocol for our community. I wasn't a longhouse person, which is your traditional teachings and culture and language. I didn't know any of that. And so I didn't feel like I fit in. And it was kind of a rude awakening to me to not be accepted in my own community. Um, and so I moved away again. I moved away to Winnipeg. And after that, I moved away to Edmonton. But I always wanted to come home. And I know that I had one daughter um, whose father was from the reserve. And but that didn't keep me there. I just moved away for where I felt comfortable and accepted. And so when she started having children, they didn't know me. And I really wanted them to know their grandmother. So I had to find a way to come home, but I still wanted a good job when I came home. I didn't want to come home and have no place to stay, no job, no nothing like that. And so an opening came and I took it, and that's when I ended up teaching grade 8 on the reserve. And I have to say it was one of a really, really rewarding experience for me to come home and to be accepted by the young people and to be that person who could help to move them forward and to understand about,
We're gonna give Ms. Hill another moment.
okay, I'm back again. I'm really sorry about all of this nonsense, but that's what happens when you're on the reserve. We don't always get the best quality of connections to things. And I can't even remember what I was talking about. So when I came back to the reserve and having to teach the grade 8 students, it was very rewarding. And we give them that history that they didn't know, but also when I think about it, the number of generations that were in residential school, because the residential school basically started in 1835 and closed in 1970. And you think of all of those generations that attended residential school and they're then sent back to the reserve. How do you expect them to become model citizens when what they learn kind of like was what I learned, to be very regimented, to have very few child rearing skills. You don't know your culture, you don't know your language. And so what are you passing on to your own children? And I think that was one of the biggest things that I was kind of shocked. Never mind what we went through as residential school survivors. What happened to the parents, the grannies, and the aunts and the uncles when all of a sudden those kids are gone? What are they going to do? They got no kids to look after anymore, you know. And I could see how things turned into be less than what you would expect from a normal society. But their culture was gone, the language was gone, and so you turn to other things. Quite often it was drinking and, you know, all of those other things that are really negative to a community. And so nowadays, I think that, especially with our young people, they're trying to get back their language, they're trying to get back their culture, attending Longhouse, attending all the things that we never had, and quite often their own families, Grammy, their grandparents or great grandparents, they had lost it already. But there are some that didn't lose it, so they're the ones who are initiating that drive to get back the culture, to get the understanding of what went wrong in our communities and stuff. And as a group of residential school survivors, a bunch of us got together and we wanted to do something to help our community and other communities, because it was like, I think 30 different communities that had their children sent to the residential school, some from Quebec, some from Nunavut, all over Northern Ontario, Southern Ontario. And we wanted to put in something so people would remember, the generations coming would remember, because that's part of the Haudenosaunee teachings, is that whatever you do, you have to think of 7 generations into the future, as same as 7 generations before you helped to frame who you were today. And so we're putting in a memorial park, and that's what we're doing today. We're all volunteers. We are a not-for-profit charity organization, and we're just trying to move forward and get that park done so that people will have a peaceful, positive place to go. It's not just for our reserve. It's for anybody who has that same mindset that we have. We want some peace. We want some quiet. We want people to be able to come and reflect on what they learned, because the mush hole, or the residential school, is right beside our park. And so if they went to that dark history there, they could come out and sit and relax, or even come with their families for a picnic, something good, you know. And they always welcome at the Woodland Cultural Center and at the mush hole at the residential school, and of us, of course, to welcome people to understand this is what happened to the kids. And it was kids. I mean, you see me on the screen now as an old lady, but back then I was like 7 years old when I went in, and I had 4 younger brothers and sisters, so they were quite young. And this happened for generations to young kids. And so we try to move forward on that. Right now, we also belong to, most of us of the survivors, belong to the Survivors Secretariat, which is an organization, government funded, to look for unmarked burials, because from the history that we know, we have heard, and you probably all heard about Kamloops, where they found all of those children. But also, like we know from our own history, people went missing. They never came home. Where did they go? And quite often, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were killed, or sometimes they were just sent to other countries, because people could do that back then. I had a friend, I still have that friend, who went off to Vermont, to Mexico, finally came back and met up with her dad. So right now, that kind of gives you a background, but if you have questions and would like to post them, I will try to answer those questions as best I can. So if you have questions, because our time is kind of running down, but if you have real concerns and stuff, I don't know who you would direct those to.
Okay, so we've got a microphone set up over in the center here. If you've got a question, I saw 2 of you stood up.
I don't remember my name.
Okay. And I saw someone here stood up. Okay. I guess that's it for questions then. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, okay, we have one question then.
How long have the residential schools been here? Like how many years?
Well, our residential school, the Mohawk Institute, was first initiated it started out as an industrial education farm for boys back in 1828. It didn't become a residential school until about 1835. So almost 140 years that it was in operation. It closed in 1970. And across Canada, because ours is the longest running one, and then those kind of schools spread across Canada and every province, every territory, everywhere. Those residential schools were set up to take the Indian out of the Indian, basically. They wanted to, and they couldn't do it with the adults, so they started with the children. And when you take that away from the children, they don't learn their language, they don't learn their culture, they can't pass it on. I hope that answers your question.
Are we? Okay.
Did your parents go to residential schools?
Did your parents also go to residential schools?
No. Like I said, my mom was non-native, so she definitely would not have gone. And my dad was an only child. He traced his lineage back to Joseph Brant, who Brantford is named after, and helped us move into the territory along the Grand River. But he was never in there. But I know he had two half-sisters, also descendant of Joseph Brant. They would have been my aunts. They were in the residential school. So it kind of hit some of them, missed other ones, but basically almost every family knew somebody who either was in their family or was related to them that went to residential school.
I think we have time for one more. I will hand it off to you over here.
Where do you think they took your brother?
At the time, I didn't know. Just one day, because every time I'd see him at breakfast time, I'd wave at him and he'd wave back. We never got to talk. And one day he was just missing. And like I said, I was about 13 or 14 when my grandpa, who had the three younger ones, sent us tickets to come home. That's when I met my brother again. But that time we were no longer close. I really didn't know him. He's grown up without me. And it kind of caused that rift in the family, like you're no longer close with your siblings.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Ms. Hill. I think we are closer out of time right now. So thank you so much for your time.
I have one other thing. I don't know if you knew this or not, but if you go on www.mohawkvillagepark.com, you will see a concept of the park that we're putting in. You'll find anything you want to know about our organization, the Mohawk Village Memorial Park. And thank you for having me. I don't mind sharing my experiences because I think the general public needs to know it. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to share a poem written, recorded, and shared with us by Chief Stacy Laforme, the chief of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
I didn't know the parents, but I knew their spirit. I knew their love. I know their loss. I know their potential. And I am overwhelmed by the pain and the hurt, the pain of the families and friends, the pain of an entire people, unable to protect them, to help them, to comfort them, to love them. I did not know them, but the pain is so real, so personal. I felt it in my core, my heart, my spirit. I sit here crying, and I am not ashamed. I will cry for them and the many others like them. I will cry for you. I will cry for me. I'll cry for what could have been. Then I will calm myself, smudge myself, offer prayers, and know they are no longer in pain. No longer do they hurt. They are at peace. In time, I will tell their story. I will educate society so their memory is not lost to this world. And when I am asked, what does reconciliation mean to me? I will say, I want their lives back. I want them to live, to soar. I want to hear their laughter, see their smiles. Give me that, and I'll grant you reconciliation.
Red Sky Performance is a leading company in contemporary Indigenous performance in Canada and around the world. Its vision is to lead in the creation, elevation, and evolution of contemporary Indigenous performance and make a significant contribution to the artistic and cultural vibrancy of Canada and the world. We're excited to present a video presentation of their piece, Mistatim Reimagined.
He's bleeding!
He barely feels it.
He's hurt!
This is how you break a horse.
Oh, he's scared.
He's supposed to be.
Why?
So he'll know I'm in charge and he'll do what I say. That's how it's done.
Says who?
My dad?
Then your dad doesn't know anything about horses.
We have about 80 horses that we breed and sell and rent to farmers all over, so I think my dad knows a thing or two about horses.
Then why is this horse so wild?
His mother died before we got him, so he never learned how to act with horses or people.
And you think whipping him will change all that?
Who are you anyway?
Speck.
Speck?
They call me Speck because that's what my grandmother said the first time she ever saw me. What's that guts? She's nothing but a speck, she said. And everyone agreed, and so they called me that from the day I was born.
Don't you have a real name?
Well, of course I have a real name.
What is it then?
I don't know.
You don't even know your own name?
Why do you care anyway?
I don't. It's just weird.
Yeah? What's yours?
Calvin?
Calvin?
What?
And you're laughing at my name?
What's wrong with Calvin? Calvin's just normal.
Is that what you want?
Huh?
To be normal?
You live over there?
Yeah.
How come I've never seen you before?
I didn't want you to see me before.
What's that supposed to mean?
I'm good at knowing when to run.
You don't go to my school.
No.
Don't you go to school?
What, you think because I'm Indian I don't go to school?
No, well, my school's the only school.
No, it's not. There's a school in my reserve.
Yeah, but kids from the reserve go to my school.
Not all of them.
I didn't know that.
You don't know much, do you?
I know you shouldn't say Indian.
Why not?
You should say First Nations or Indigenous.
I can say what I want to say.
It's racist.
You can't be racist about yourself.
I've got to go for breakfast. Come on, Bruiser. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
He's wild because he wants to be wild. No whip is gonna change that.
Fine. Stay there then.
Come on.
What are you doing?
Throwing rocks.
I can see that.
I'm trying to bounce a rock off that piece of wood, then hit that can.
Why?
Because it's fun. You can try if you want.
I'm not really supposed to go on that side of the fence.
What's wrong with this side of the fence? You gotta use just the right amount of force. See? Ah,
You can only do it because you've been practicing.
yeah. And I'm good at throwing stuff.
Yeah, well, can you hit that bottle?
That was easy. Can you reach that puddle? Ah, try again.
Almost.
Again.
Ah,
Yeah! Keep going. He likes it.
oh, that was my worst.
Keep trying.
I want to turn,
You gotta keep playing.
but he's my horse.
You
I
gotta
want to
keep
turn.
playing or else he'll run.
I want to touch him.
Be patient.
I am being patient. I'm letting you touch my horse.
Fine then. Do it.
Fine then. I will.
You're too scared.
I'm not scared.
I know what fear looks like.
What are all these names?
It's a record
Of what?
of everyone I know who needs to be remembered.
Like who?
Like all the people I know who got put in residential schools.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? Don't you know about residential schools?
A bit.
150,000 Indian kids were taken from their families and forced to live in awful schools where they couldn't speak their own language or talk about home, where they were starved or beaten or worse, and you know a bit?
I just.
This is why I don't go to your school. Because you don't learn about anything real. You learn about how to call Indians First Nations, but you don't learn about what happened to my mom or my grandma or most of the people I know.
Well, tell me then.
So you can call me a liar?
I won't call you a
So you
liar.
can say it wasn't even that bad?
I won't say
This
that.
is why I don't hang out with rich little white boys like you.
Wait, Speck! Speck, wait! Wait! I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you. Fine. But I'm not leaving. Why won't you trust me like I want you to? Why do you buck when I come close to you? I'm just trying to stop you feeling so blue. Why won't you trust me like I want you to? Why won't you trust me like I want you to? Why do you buck when I come close to you? I'm just trying to stop you feeling so blue. Why won't you trust me like I want you to?
He likes it.
Oh.
Sorry.
You shouldn't sneak up on people like that.
Is there anything you're not scared of?
I'm not scared of you.
You sure? Did you make that up?
Yeah?
My cookum would like it.
Your cookum?
Yeah, my grandmother. She loves country.
You could sing it to her if you want.
She'd have to stop crying to hear it.
She cries a lot?
Can't stop.
Because of the residential school?
Maybe. Or maybe because my mom left. Or maybe because she's just sad.
What do you mean?
Sometimes people get stuck in one feeling.
Yeah, my dad's like that.
He's sad?
He's mad.
All the time?
Sort of.
Even at Christmas?
Even on his birthday. And then when he's really mad,
What do you do?
just try to stay out of his way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teach me your song.
What?
How does it go?
It's not very good.
Just do it.
Nah.
You scared of that too?
Why won't you trust me like I want you to?
Why won't you trust me like I want you to?
Yeah. Why do you buck when
Why do you
buck when I come close to you? I'm just trying to stop you feeling so blue. Why won't you trust me like I want you to? Yeah.
Why won't you trust me like I want you to? Why do you buck when I come close to you? I'm just trying to stop you feeling so blue. Why won't you trust me like I want you to? We could go racing through the fields under a bright blue sky, leaping over rivers till it feels like we could fly.
That's why you should just trust me like I want you to. Just stay calm when I come close to you. Then you'll see what I know to be true. You can trust me to be kind to you.
Why won't you trust me like I want you to? Why do you bark when I come close to you? I'm just trying to stop you feeling so blue. Why won't you trust me like I want you to? We could go racing through the fields under a bright blue sky, leaping over rivers till it feels like we could fly. That's why you should just trust me like I want you to. Just stay calm when I come close to you. Then you'll see what I know to be true. You can trust me to be kind to you.
I'm gonna surprise my dad, you know,
What do you mean?
with Bruiser.
Your dad doesn't know you're trying to train him?
No way!
Won't he be mad?
Not when I ride up on him. My dad will be standing in the door of the barn, and he'll look up at me in disbelief and he'll say, "Cal, what the heck are you doing?" And then the anger will fall off his face and drop to the ground, and I'll gallop around the barn and come to a stop and dismount in a cloud of dust.
What'll he say?
Nothing. He'll just smile and put his hand on my shoulder and squeeze.
Then we better get to work.
Yeah.
How do you put this on him?
He goes crazy whenever I try. Be careful, Speck.
It's okay. It's all right. See? Good. Good boy. Yeah. See? Now put it on him.
He'll go crazy. Me?
Yeah, I don't know how.
He'll go crazy.
Just try. Good boy.
I told you.
It's okay. We're not gonna hurt you, see? It doesn't hurt. See? Good boy. Okay. Now try. Good. Yeah. Yeah.
That was amazing. How did you do that?
Did you hear that?
What?
It's not Tim. Mr. Tim, I gotta go.
What?
I gotta check something.
Oh, we only just started. Spec, where are you going? Where are you going? Whoa.
Mr. Tim. Mr. Tim. Congratulations, Calvin. Your horse understands Cree.
What?
Listen, he's sort of talking.
It sounds like a whinny to me.
He's sort of communicating. He's saying, Mr. Tim.
Well, what does that mean?
Horse. Well, technically it means big dog, but Mr. Tim is the word for horse in Cree.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It sounded familiar because we learn Cree in school, but no one really pays attention, and we aren't learning about horses right now. But you know the way that your mind holds on to things sometimes, right? So last night, I crawled into bed with my cookum, and I whispered, Mr. Tim, in her ear, and she looked at me with this look and said, Esquel, why are you talking about horses?
Wow.
Yeah,
So, you two can understand each other?
I think so.
Say something to him in Cree.
In Cree? Well, I'm not very good.
I won't know.
He will.
Go on.
Tanse. Mr. Tim? Give me a sin.
What did you say?
I told him he's a beautiful horse.
I guess he liked that.
Yeah. Mr. Tim, Gia Maskasuatim. I told him he's strong.
I guess Bruiser likes compliments.
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh, what happened?
I don't think he likes that name.
What, Bruiser? Okay. So what should we call him then?
Tanse Sigyasun? Mr. Tim. I think Mr. Tim is his name.
Tell him that we don't want to hurt him. We just want to train him.
Namoya ewe mea tutata. Enote ne kitoma. Namoya nantautsi? Hi. Miwa sin. Good. Mr. Tim, how magaigwa? Miła se, Mr. Tim. Gwiskiutsi.
How are you doing that?
I don't know. I'm just seeing him. I'm just hearing him. I'm following him as much as he's following me. Whoa. Good boy. Miła se, Mr. Tim. Your turn.
What?
Take the lead.
Maybe you should just...
You can do it. Go on.
Now what?
Now look at him.
I am.
But really see him. Try to feel what he's feeling.
Okay.
Now, tell him where you want him to go.
This way. It's not working.
Try again.
Come on. Come on. It's never gonna work. He won't do what I say because he hates me.
He doesn't hate you.
Yes, he does. He only remembers that I whipped him and tried to force him to do things that he didn't want to do, but I didn't know that that wasn't right, and I'm sorry.
Well, tell him that.
Tell him?
Tell Mr. Tim.
Mr. Tim, I'm sorry.
Namoya Uchitao.
Namoya Uchitao. He's doing it! He's doing it!
Good job. Looking for this?
You gotta stop doing that.
It's too much fun.
Thanks. Hey, do you tell your cookum
What?
how good your Cree was with Mr. Tim and how he
You
just...
haven't gone home yet.
Really? Why not? I'd get in big trouble if I didn't go home for dinner.
Guess I'm lucky that way. My cookum doesn't really notice. People say she's scarred for life because of what happened to my mom.
Scarred? That's awful.
Mm-hmm. And this was my other cookum. Her name was Pauline. She got taken to a school when she was only 3.
Oh.
My great aunt Thelma, they made her sleep in a bed with a girl who had TB. That means tuberculosis. Thelma caught it, of course, and she died.
Wait. She died at school?
Mm-hmm. Lots of kids did. But they never broke my mom.
What do you mean?
She used to talk Cree all the time. At first, they tried to wash her mouth out with soap, but even then, she didn't stop speaking the language. So then, they cut her hair really short and took away her blankets and made her talk with her tongue between her fingers. That's it.
Ew.
But that still didn't stop her. She used to talk Cree all the time when the teachers were looking. One day, the teachers caught her talking Cree to a new girl who was crying because she couldn't understand what the teachers were saying. Well, the teacher grabbed my mom and took her to the principal's office where they gave her the strap. Can you imagine? And after that, they didn't even call her by her own name. They gave her a number instead of a name. They tried everything. They even made her stay in a locker once, all night long, and they put the lock on it and everything. And she didn't have anywhere to lay down to sleep, and the next morning they took her in front of everyone, and they said, "This is what happens to bad girls who don't speak English, and this is what will happen to you if any of you talk to this bad girl."
Did she stop speaking Cree?
You can't make my mom do anything she doesn't want to do. But after that, no one would talk to her. At all. And the teachers even told the other kids to try to hurt my mom, to spit at her and hit her. And that's when she started running away. But The punishments for running away were way worse.
Where's your mom now?
I don't know. Still running, I bet. Leaping over puddles and running through tall grass and running wherever she wants.
I should probably get home.
Okay.
It's just my dad, you know?
Yeah.
But, I'll see you tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
I bet she does notice, you know?
Who?
Your cookum. When you don't come home. I bet she's wondering where you are right now.
Maybe. Good night, Calvin.
Good night, Speck. Speck! Speck! Don't worry. It's gonna be okay. Speck!
I just had the best morning ever.
Where have you been?
With my cookum. When I got home last night, I was so excited. I gave her the biggest, hugest hug ever. And she smiled, Calvin. And then I told her all about Mr. Tim, and she was laughing, Calvin. Laughing. And she wants to meet Mr. Tim. And then this morning, we went outside, and she started to garden.
Speck!
She hasn't gardened in years, but we went up front, and we were pulling up weeds.
Speck!
Oh, you can call me Natanis now. That means my daughter.
Speck!
What are you yelling about?
My dad, he
Spit it out.
just stood up at breakfast and said, that horse has one last chance. Then he went out to the barn and he got his whip and he pulled Mr. Tim into the ring.
What did you do?
I couldn't, there wasn't anything.
What happened?
Well, my dad was trying to force Mr. Tim to do things, but he was yanking on the lead and cracking the whip, and I could tell Mr. Tim was trying to be calm, but
Didn't you say anything? Didn't you tell him?
I couldn't say anything because my dad was backing Mr. Tim into a corner and yelling and yanking, and then Mr. Tim reared up and knocked my dad in the head. He was bleeding and swearing, and my mom had to take him to the hospital to get stitches.
Is your dad okay?
I think so, but
But what?
as he left, my dad said he was going to put Mr. Tim down. He was going to take him to be killed because he's too wild.
But he's not wild anymore.
My dad doesn't know
You
that.
have to tell him.
I can't.
You can. You're just scared.
Stop saying that.
It's true. You're scared of everything.
No, I'm not.
You're scared of me. You're scared of Mr. Tim, and you're especially scared of your dad. And it hasn't mattered until now. But if you don't tell your dad what Mr. Tim is really like, your dad's going to kill him. Fine.
What are you doing?
If you won't do anything, then I will.
Speck! Speck, what are you doing?
A stum, Mr. Tim. A stum. Come on.
Speck, be careful.
Oh, you are saying, Mr. Tim. Good. Again, Mr. Tim. Everything's gonna be okay, all right? Again, Mr. Tim.
Speck, just tell me what you're doing.
Good boy. Good
Speck.
boy.
He's never done that before.
Neither have I.
And how do you know what to do?
I don't. I'm just doing what feels right. Well, you coming?
just keep running.
Once we get to the woods, they won't be able to track us.
But the woods are kilometers away.
Which is why we need to keep going.
And then what?
Then we're free.
What about food?
We can live off the land.
What about winter?
We can survive.
They'll find us, Beck. Sooner or later, they'll find us.
So what are you saying?
We gotta go back.
Go back? So your dad can slaughter Mr. Tim?
No, of course not.
Then what?
I'll talk to him.
Just like last time.
That was different.
How?
I didn't know what to say.
Oh, and now you do?
I'll say you can't kill him, Dad. You just can't.
And he'll say, I can do whatever I want. He's wild, and he's dangerous, and he's no good to anyone.
But he's not wild, Dad. Not anymore. Me and my friend Speck, we've been training him for weeks, and he's good, Dad. If you listen to him, really, he's so good.
You can't listen to a horse.
But we do. And he tells us things like he doesn't like whips, or yelling, or yanking, or being shoved into walls, or things being thrown across the room, and he doesn't like being called mean names because it makes him mean, and he doesn't want to be mean. He let us ride him, Dad. Can you believe it? And I know he hurt you, and I hope you're okay, but he's not dangerous anymore, really. Please, Dad, just look at him. Please, Dad, look at me.
Even if you say those things, they won't work on him. Once people get stuck in their ways, they don't change. They can't change.
What about you?
What about me?
Every part of you wants to keep running right now.
What are you talking
I
about?
can see it in your eyes.
You don't know me.
I know you run when you get angry. I know you run when you get sad. I know you run when you get scared, and I know you're scared right now.
I'm not scared.
I know what fear looks like. And what about your cooking? And all that laughing and gardening?
What about it?
People can change.
I don't want Mr. Tim to die.
Neither do I. This is our best chance, and I will do everything I can.
How do I know you won't freeze up again?
You don't. You just have to trust me. We can ride home together.
I can't. I have to run.
I got grounded. I thought about trying to sneak out and leaving a note on the fence or something, but I couldn't even get out of the house. My dad was so angry when I rode up on Mr. Tim. He told me to get inside, but I told him everything right there and then. After that, he wouldn't talk to me for 3 days. And then this morning, he called me out to the barn, and I thought I was gonna get it. But then he told me that he was more scared than he'd ever been when he saw me on Mr. Tim. I didn't even know my dad got scared.
Everyone gets scared.
He told me all the reasons that Mr. Tim was dangerous, and I told him all the reasons he wasn't.
Good.
He said he's proud of me for standing up for myself. But, well, that Mr. Tim is still dangerous. wrong?
I didn't even get a chance. I didn't get to say goodbye to Mr. Tim. Mr. Tim? But I don't understand.
He's on probation. I gotta work with him every day, and if I can get him under control, we can keep him.
Really?
You think we can do it?
We?
You're not gonna abandon us now, are you?
Your dad won't mind?
You're the only one who can talk to Mr. Tim, and I told him I need your help.
Yeah?
I can't speak Cree. Yet.
You're a fast learner. Nature Moose. You're it!
Come on!
We hope you all enjoyed Mr. Tim just now. Our next performance is going to start shortly. We would just like a couple minutes to complete setup. So just please be patient with us. Thank you.
Chip. Sego. Scanna Goaga. Logan Stats, Young Yats. Ana wana nia get the Doden, Ganyak Gahaga. Niwa go in Jordan, Asuedo, Niro and Guedo. My name's Logan Stotts. I'm from Six Nations of the Grand River. And every time I perform, I like to introduce myself in my traditional language because it's something that was taken from me. So every time I step on stage, I like to do my best to reclaim that. This first song is called Dead Man. And it's about that journey of reclamation. Dig up my bowl, carry my body home, and I'll buy back my soul with the gold that I'm owed. 'Cause I've been a dead man, just walking away. 'Cause I've been a dead man, walking away. And give me back my love, and I think smell of your thrill. You better put down those pills. She heads swell. You sat me in the dead man, just walking away. You sat me in the dead man, walking away. Give me back my love, and I think give me back my love, and I think it's all I am. You sat me in the dead man, walking away. You sat me in the dead man, walking away. Give me back my love, and I think she's that enough. Give me back my love, and I think she's that enough. It's over. Now we'll go. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everybody for coming here today. Very important, that we open up dialogue and we have talks about this day. That's so we can all move forward and do a little bit of healing together. Simple soul, simple man, simple thrift store clothes and a simple plan. He's gonna make it someday, he's gonna make it someday. And that was a lifetime ago, a lifetime ago, a lifetime ago. Lifetime ago, lifetime ago, it was a lifetime ago. Ain't no thief gonna take my gold, ain't no priest gonna save my soul, ain't no thief gonna take my gold. Ain't no priest gonna save my soul, my soul, my whole soul, my soul, my soul, my soul. You know me, I'm a believer, and you know me, I couldn't leave her. You know me, I'm a believer, you try, if I try, no, subject. Ain't no thief gonna take my gold. Ain't no priest gonna save my soul. Ain't no thief gonna take my gold. Ain't no priest gonna save my soul. My soul. My poor soul. Ain't no thief gonna take my gold. Ain't no priest gonna save my soul. Ain't no thief gonna take my gold. Ain't no priest gonna save my soul. My soul, my poor soul. Yeah, we'll go. Ain't no reason the things are this way. It's how they always been, and they intend to stay. Yeah, I can't explain why we live this way. We do it every day. And preachers on the podium, they're speaking and say, prophets on the sidewalk and they're begging for change. And the old ladies laughing for the foul schemes, cursing my name. I got a biscuit full of labels, and the old taster say, window pigeon with a broken wing. And you can spend your whole life working for something just to have it taken away. And people walk around pushing back their debts, wearing paychecks like necklaces and bracelets. They talk about nothing and worrying about it. Every little heartbeat, every little bit. And people walk a tightrope on a razor's edge, carrying their hurt, their hatred and their weapons. You could be a bomb, a bullet or a gun, thought of a word or a sentence. There ain't no reason that things this way. I'd always been and then tend to stay. I can't explain why I live this way. Do it every day. Love will come set us free. Now I know, I hope it will. Love will come and set us free. And I know, and I hope it will one day. The prison walls still standing tall. Some things never change at all. Y'all keep on building prisons, we're gonna fill them all. Keep on building bombs, we're gonna drop them all. And working your fingers bare to the bone, and breaking your back make you sell your soul. And like a long dance, filled with suffocating snow. The wind blows wild and I may move, but politicians lie and I am not fooled. And you don't need no reason over 3-piece suit to argue the truth. The world under my skin, the air under my toes, slavery stitched into the fabric of my clothes. Chaos and commotion wherever I go. love I try to follow. Cause love will come set us free. And I know, I hope it will. Love will come and set us free. And I know, and I hope we'll one day. Thank you very much. Now we'll go. So you'll notice after every song, I say, Nyawa Goa. So that means thank you very much. So when I say Nyawa Goa, it's like me doing my Mohawk Elvis Presley. You know, like thank you very much. You guys want to learn a little bit of Mohawk? So the first word I'm going to teach you is very, very important because a lot of the children that are in these residential schools, they never heard this their whole time that they were there, and it's I love you. And it's Ganalankwa. Come on, say it a little bit louder. Come on. All right. Ganalankwa. Somebody needs to get you guys a status card. That was so good. Well, thank you for listening to me, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're listening from the driver's seat of that old Ford, and I know you miss me. Your pride must be sore. She's wearing an outfit from her mother's store. She's living a life that her heart can't afford. And I know that I'm right, but I hope that I'm wrong. She'll never love me, but she'll always love my songs. And I know that I'm right, but I hope that I'm wrong. She'll never love me, but she'll always love my songs, my song. My song. My lonely song. And I got my fists up, but I don't wanna fight. And I can't find my days, love. I've been searching all night. She just wants a folk song, not anything more. She just wants a folk song, one she can adore. And I know that I'm right, but I hope that I'm wrong. She'll never love me, but she'll always love my songs. And I know that I'm right, but I hope that I'm wrong. She'll never love me, but she'll always love my songs, my song. My song. My song. My lonely song. And I know that I'm right, I hope that I'm wrong. She'll never love me, but she'll always love my soul. And I know that I'm right, hope that I'm wrong. She'll never love me, but she'll always love my soul. And I know, yes I know. And I know, yes I know, and I know Nyawagoa. So my people don't say goodbye, we say see you later. And it's Onagoahi. So Onagoahi, Nyawago. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Logan. Ladies and gentlemen and children, on behalf of the Chinese Cultural Center of Greater Toronto, I would like to thank you today for attending the Truth and Reconciliation Day. Children, to my dear children here, I hope you have learned something about the residential school students and also culture about the Indigenous people. Did you? Very good. That's exactly what we hope that you will do. So I know you are very hungry now. So before I let you go, please remember today, it's September the 30th. Remember, this is the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. This does not end today. It's going on. And then, hopefully, by next year, September 30th, you will be learning a lot more about the Indigenous community. Is that okay? Very good. We learn from the past in order to have a better future tomorrow or oncoming years. Okay? Yeah. So thank you very much, children, for being so nice. You are really very nice. And we hope that you will come back to the Cultural Center for our other events. All right? Very good. We'll let you know. We'll inform your teachers. Thank you, all the teachers, for bringing the students here. Thank you. So I think, would you need to line up to leave? But do you need to? No. Bye-bye. Thank you. I'm Angela.
Do you speak Chinese?
Pardon?
Do you speak Chinese?
Yes, I do.
Again.
Yay! My adult friends here, thank you for being so patient. Can you please keep seated until the kids have gone? Bye-bye. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you soon. Sure, definitely. Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy to see all these young people being so involved. Anyway, now I'd like you to just go behind where you see the tables. It's 8 people to a table, so please get seated first and then we will start serving lunch, all right?